Hello everyone, and welcome back. Over the past few years, Pantasy has released some truly impressive modular buildings. Some stand out because of their lighting, others because of their size, and a few simply because they look fantastic on display. But every now and then, a set comes along that feels like the complete package. This is the Pantasy Bavarian Tavern, set 85049. When I first saw the official photos, I thought it looked like another beautiful European-style building. Nice facade, lots of details. Exactly what we've come to expect from Pantasy. But after spending several hours building it, I realized the photos don't even come close to showing what this set is really about. It's packed with clever building techniques, hidden details, one of the cleanest lighting systems Pantasy has designed so far, and an incredible amount of printed pieces that make the whole experience feel premium from start to finish. And by the end of this review, I'll tell you whether this deserves a place among Pantasy's very best modular buildings, so let's step inside. Before we start exploring every room, let's take a quick look at what you're actually getting. The Bavarian Tavern comes with 3,246 pieces, 43 printed elements, 11 integrated warm LED lights, and 4 exclusive minifigures, all packed into a fully furnished 3-story corner building. The inspiration is immediately obvious. Traditional Bavarian taverns are famous for their warm atmosphere, hearty food, live music, and beautifully decorated buildings. And Pantasy has clearly tried to capture that feeling rather than simply copying a particular structure. And that's something I really appreciate. This doesn't feel like a generic modular building with a few German decorations added at the last minute. It feels like a place with its own identity, almost as if it has been standing on the same street corner for decades. And that brings us to what is probably my favorite first impression of the entire set, the exterior. Some modular buildings look impressive from one angle. This one rewards you every single time you turn it. The more you look, the more details you notice. Colorful flower boxes brighten up the facade. One table immediately creates the feeling of a busy beer garden. There's a charming little takeaway window built into the side of the building, a classic street clock, a traditional wooden bench, menus displayed outside for passing customers, and dozens of tiny decorative touches that make the whole place feel alive. One thing I particularly enjoyed is that Pantasy didn't rely on one spectacular facade to impress you. Every side of the building has something worth discovering. Different textures, different building techniques, different architectural details. It constantly gives your eyes something new to explore. And that's exactly how the building experience feels too. Many modulars spend long stretches asking you to build fairly repetitive walls. Here, even building a simple wall rarely feels repetitive, because you're almost always adding something. A flower box, a printed sign, a window frame, a lantern, a texture change. The building keeps evolving right in front of you. And before you realize it, the entire tavern has come to life. At that point, there's only one thing left to do. Open the front door and see what everyone came here for. The moment you open the building, you're greeted by exactly the atmosphere I was hoping for. Warm lighting, shelves, packed with food and drinks. It instantly feels less like a display model and more like a place where people would actually spend an evening. And that's one of the biggest strengths of this set. It doesn't just look authentic, it feels authentic. The bar is, of course, the center of attention. Behind the counter, you'll find beer taps, a cash register, bottles, mugs, and plenty of little accessories that make it feel busy without ever becoming cluttered. It's one of those areas where every time you look, you notice something you hadn't seen before. And speaking of details, Pantasy had a little fun with one of them. Hidden in the restroom is a sign that simply says, "No vomiting." Apparently the tavern owner has had enough experience with enthusiastic customers to make that rule official. It's such a tiny joke, but little touches like this give the whole building personality. They remind you that someone on the design team was clearly having fun. One wall in particular really caught my attention. Instead of leaving it plain, Pantasy filled it with printed decorations, a football poster, a medal, a reference to Clone, a vintage car picture, It's an eclectic mix that somehow works surprisingly well. Rather than feeling random, it gives the impression that the tavern has collected memories over many years, almost like generations of owners have slowly added their own decorations. It's a subtle storytelling. And I love when brick-built models do that. Accessibility is another area where Pantasy made some smart decisions. Like most modular buildings, every floor can be removed in seconds. But here, that's only part of the story. The entire sidewall swings open, giving you unrestricted access to the interior. That might sound like a small feature, until you actually start filming or photographing the set. Suddenly, every angle becomes accessible. It's one of those quality of life improvements that you don't think about until you need it. Now let's talk about something Pantasy has become incredibly good at: lighting. If you've watched some of my previous Pantasy or Lumibrix reviews, you'll probably know that integrated lighting is one of my favorite features. But it's also an area where poor cable management can completely ruin an otherwise beautiful model. Thankfully, that's definitely not the case here. The designers have done an excellent job hiding almost every cable inside the structure. Nothing immediately catches your eye. Nothing distracts from the architecture. You simply enjoy the building exactly as it should be. But what impressed me even more is something that many people probably won't even notice. Pantasy has quietly improved the electrical connections between the floors. Instead of using the connector style we've seen in several older Pantasy and Lumibrix models, this set introduces a redesigned system that feels noticeably more secure. The connection is firmer, alignment is easier, and when stacking the floors together, everything feels much more reliable. It may not be the kind of feature that sells a set on its own, but it shows something important. Pantasy isn't standing still. They're constantly refining their designs, even in areas most people never think about. And honestly, I love seeing that kind of evolution. By the time I finished the ground floor, I already had a feeling this wasn't going to be just another modular building. There was still an entire building left to explore. But Pantasy had already set the bar remarkably high. So, naturally, I couldn't wait to see what the upper floors had to offer. As we move upstairs, this is probably the one area where I have mixed feelings. Don't get me wrong, it still looks good. The lighting is beautifully integrated, the cable management remains excellent, and just like the ground floor, one of the walls opens up completely, making the entire room easy to access. From the outside, the building continues to look absolutely fantastic. More flower box, a small balcony, decorative signs, beautiful timber framing. Architecturally, Pantasy keeps the same high standard. But once you're inside, I couldn't help feeling this floor is a little underused. Compared to everything we've already seen downstairs, it feels noticeably more open. You have a few tables and chairs, a collection of bottles displayed along the wall, and a cello waiting for tonight's entertainment. It's certainly not empty. But I do think this room had the potential for a little more life. Maybe another table. Something to make the room feel just a little busier. That said, it's also my only real criticism of the entire building. Now, let's head to my favorite interior space, the kitchen. This is where the entire tavern comes together. The moment you remove the roof, you're greeted by shelves filled with freshly baked bread, pretzels, croissants, and baguettes. There's a preparation table covered with ingredients, storage shelves, kitchen equipment, an oven ready for another batch of bread. It instantly feels like a real working bakery, rather than just another decorative room. And then Pantasy sneaks in one of my favorite little details. There's bread baking inside. It's completely unnecessary. Most people would probably never notice it, but that's exactly why I love it. It's the kind of hidden detail that rewards curiosity. The more closely you look, the more this building gives back. And honestly, that perfectly sums up this entire set. Nothing is trying to grab your attention. Instead, it quietly rewards you for slowing down and exploring. Another thing I really like is how naturally the different floors connect together. Downstairs, customers are enjoying their meals. One floor above, music fills the room. and up here, fresh bread is coming out of the oven. Every level has its own purpose. Every room feels connected to the story the building is trying to tell. It never feels like three separate rooms stacked on top of each other. It feels like one living building. Before we wrap things up, there's one final technical detail worth mentioning. Like many recent Pantasy releases, everything is powered through USB-C. No batteries to worry about, no constantly replacing power packs. Just plug it in, and the entire building comes to life. Combined with the redesigned electrical connectors between the floors, it's probably the cleanest lighting system Pantasy has produced so far. Simple, reliable, and almost invisible once the model is fully assembled. Exactly how integrated lighting should be. Finally, let's take a quick look at the 4 exclusive characters included with the set. You get 2 members of staff, a male server and a female server, both ready for another busy evening serving food and drinks. Then, there's the musician bringing a little live entertainment to the first floor. And finally, my favorite character of the group, the guest. Judging by his expression, I think he may have ignored the no vomiting sign a few times already. It's a fun little selection of characters that fits the atmosphere of the tavern perfectly. You don't get dozens of minifigures, but honestly, these 4 are enough to make the building feel alive. So, after spending several evenings building the Bavarian Tavern, where does it actually rank, honestly? Higher than I expected. When I first saw the announcement, I thought I knew exactly what I was getting. A beautiful European modular. Great lighting, plenty of printed pieces, a familiar Pantasy experience. But after finishing the build, I realized this set offers something more. It has character. Some modular buildings impress you because they're huge. Others because they're packed with advanced building techniques, and some simply look fantastic once they're sitting on a shelf. The Bavarian Tavern somehow manages to combine all 3. The building process stays interesting almost the entire time. The architecture feels authentic. The lighting enhances the model without drawing attention to itself. And everywhere you look, there are thoughtful little details waiting to be discovered. It's the kind of set that rewards curiosity. Every time you pick it up, you notice something new. Of course, it's not perfect. I still think the first floor could have used a little more activity. Compared to the incredibly detailed ground floor and kitchen, it feels just a bit too open. But honestly, that's a very small criticism in what is otherwise an outstanding modular. One thing I particularly appreciate is seeing how much Pantasy has evolved over the last few years. This doesn't feel like a company that's simply making bigger sets. It feels like a company that's learning from every release. The lighting system has improved. The electrical connections are better. The cable management is cleaner. The architecture feels more confident. Even the smallest printed details seem more carefully considered than ever before. As someone who's reviewed quite a few Pantasy sets over the years, that's genuinely satisfying to see. So, is this my favorite Pantasy modular? I think it just might be. Not because it's the biggest, not because it has the most pieces, and not because of the lighting alone. It's because everything works together. Nothing feels out of place, nothing feels unfinished. Every floor has a purpose. Every facade tells part of the story. Every little detail adds to the atmosphere. By the time you switch on the lights, it no longer feels like a construction set. It feels like a place. And honestly, that's probably the biggest compliment I can give any modular building. If you're looking for a display piece, you'll love it. If you enjoy detailed building techniques, you'll love it. If you're a fan of European architecture, you'll probably love it even more. And if you've been thinking about adding your very first Pantasy modular to your collection, I honestly think this is one of the very best places to start. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more brick building reviews, modular buildings, lighting kits, and plenty more here on MiniMStories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy building.